In the heart of downtown Hillsborough lies a small brick building, the town's historic paper since 1893, the News of Orange. When you step inside, there are no cubicles to be found. Rather, it more closely resembles a living room, homey and inviting, just like the surrounding town. There's even Daphne, the shyest of cats, who can always be found hiding behind a plant or between the shelves of bound newspaper compilations from decades prior, holding the history of the paper within their colorful, dusty spines. There's one person who brings this quiet place to life. He's the heart and soul of the paper, serving as the only editor and only full-time writer, publishing every Wednesday for 15,000 readers. That person is Dale Edwards. Luckily, Dale isn't completely alone. Leading up to Wednesday, the office gets a taste of that busy newsroom feel, with Emily, who handles the advertisements, and Melanie, the office manager who can always be found answering the phone and answering questions for anyone who pops into the office's always unlocked door. Sometimes people come in if they have an idea for an article, such as Michelle Fishburne showing Dale her new jacket she bought next door at Uniquities, in addition to bringing him a copy of her new book, telling the stories of her 12,000-mile trip across the country in a motorhome during the pandemic. Hoping Dale will publish a story in the paper with a glowing review of it, alongside a photo like this. The book finds its place on Dale's constantly evolving desk. He's been working in newspapers since he was a teenager, so 30 years later, he's accustomed to this chaos of always having some new book to read, or new gallery to see, or new person to chat with. Elizabeth Woodman, for example. Dale interviews her at her home, the site of her podcast where she chats to local authors. Dale has a way of interviewing people that brings out the truest of themselves. Elizabeth is an eccentric, animated woman, and the two of them laugh and joke during the interview as if they were longtime friends. When he interviews Katie, a sweet and bashfully humble high school swimmer breaking North Carolina records, Dale is more like a listening father figure, assuring Katie that she is impressive and newsworthy as they sit at her kitchen table. Because in the News of Orange, Katie is newsworthy. She even makes the front page. Since he joined in 2020, Dale has upheld the News of Orange as a community paper, one that centers the real stories happening to everyday people in Hillsborough, the stories that larger papers often overlook. Dale loves this job, but the reality is that it's difficult and isolating to bear the pressure of the paper every week by himself. Thus, he makes the hard decision to leave the News of Orange. Dale packs up his things, recounting the memories that arise from the various knickknacks and papers in his drawers, choosing what to keep and what to leave. Ultimately, it's time for Dale to close up. Corners that used to be full of Dale's paintings and brushes and easels where he would spend his few free moments, and old-fashioned newspaper layout boards that he used as stands for in-progress artwork, and stacks of bundled newspapers on furniture items Dale had brought from his own home, are all cleared out, a blank slate for whomever comes next. As Dale leaves the News of Orange, his future is bright, and he reflects positively on the past few years, knowing he gave the paper his all. Still, it's a tough ending for everyone involved. For Daphne the cat, who was always snuggled up with Dale and no one else, she now hides under his desk, perhaps waiting for someone new to inhabit it. For Melanie, of course, who remains office manager and deals with the loneliness of being the only person in the office now, and the pressure to keep the paper alive in this stressful interim. The United States is currently losing newspapers at an alarming rate of 2 per week. 70 million people live in an area with no local newspaper anymore, or one at risk of ending. It's the dark ages of local journalism, especially for newspapers continuing to publish in print, rather than exclusively online, as the circulation of paper newspapers has plummeted to less than half that it was 20 years ago. Luckily, Melanie persists to keep the paper up and running during the hectic search for a new editor, utilizing her love for color coordination to keep all the files organized, and making sure that Hillsborough's loyal readers will still get their paper each Wednesday. Her symbolic stepping up to the plate materializes when she moves her desk across the room to where Dale's desk used to be. Dale's physical presence in the office might be gone, but his name remains in print, for now, on stories he wrote in advance, with the bittersweet "Special to the News of Orange County" byline. He couldn't stray far from downtown, though. Now he works for the town of Hillsborough, in a farmhouse building less than a mile from his old office, surrounded by peaceful forests that makes for a great view. As he enters this new job in this new place, his daily tasks are a bit different, such as writing articles on the town of Hillsborough's website about local government, safety notices, and community events and services. While he sits in his new office, without Melanie or Daphne, and the walls bare with none of his paintings, the place is an empty canvas for Dale to make his mark on, just as the News of Orange office sits an empty canvas, awaiting the next editor to fill Dale's shoes. Ultimately, this is a time of transitions. For Dale, leaving a job that felt like home and slowly finding that feeling again somewhere new. For Melanie, keeping the paper going by herself. These transitions may be uncertain, but they pave the way for hopeful new beginnings. And in the meantime, the people of Hillsborough appreciate both them and their dedicated work toward the town. And the News of Orange lives another day.